Hey guys, Curious Hobbyist here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to modify another Mac app, specifically a 32-bit legacy app, Delicious Emily's Taste of Fame. This game is part of a series of games named Delicious Emily something. This game is from the Mac App Store, and so are the two other games we have and I've installed. Unfortunately, the latest one of those is also 32-bit. Why is that unfortunate? Well, my videos are usually long enough as is. As macOS Mojave is already here, I want to make these apps less obsolete as much as possible. So, if you want to learn more, click the top right card link or follow the link below. Before I begin, I will be comparing this briefly to Cooking Dash. In my last video, I played and modified Cooking Dash 1 through Steam. By the way, in that game, I'm on Tony's Restaurante. I hope I get through this game before updating to macOS Mojave. Unfortunately, it may not work then. So now, I'm going to play a level here. There is a difference in how the two games look. You can see the imagery here tries to emulate perspective. The countertop's edges and floor tile seam lines are slanted accordingly. Also, the whole restaurant is a bar. However, in the Emily games, the layout is more isometric. It does not emulate perspective, making it look more straight and less natural. Also, there's not only a bar, but tables as well. At least usually. Sometimes, it even has no bar. The layout seems to vary more in the Emily games. Also, I do remember an issue in this game. I wasn't able to bypass this point. The OK option did not respond here to mouse pointing. I found that since I got my Mac Mini I'm using now. However, it works fine now, obviously. That is why I'm doing this today. macOS Mojave might do something that causes it to not work right anymore. Anyways, now we'll get to modifying the app. In Content/Resources, there's several folders that each contain categories of different types of data that make up the app. In the Data folder, you can see some XML files, D2L, and D2P files. Not exactly sure what those are for. In the Dev folder, there are fonts used in the game's development, as well as XML files, and also an image called Missing. This is rendered in place of any missing images for testing by the creators. In fonts, you can see some PNG files that each have a bunch of characters laid out. The game is using them as an atlas. So now, let's look in images, the largest, most diverse folder of all of these. So first, let's open Fireworks. This has some images of fireworks for the game's ending, so I've recorded that ending. So that way, for any future mods, I know what the sequence looks like. There's also pyro files. Maybe these are firework effects. Not sure though. In the GUI folder, there are 8 more folders. In default, there are images for all of these options. These have 4 sprite frames each, for all of the states. Mouse over, clicking, and grayed out. A grayed out version exists in all of them, even though in some of them, it's likely never used. Some of these are also text and outlines only, including this one that I was stuck on. In dialogue credits, there are images for all the designers in the game. In hidden objects, there's a background for when you find an Easter egg object. In dialogue days, there are 2 more images. It's self-explanatory what those are used for. In dialogue default, there's a background and also 4 versions of this corner piece. Why? There is 2 types of them for each side, and these have different shadows. However, only 2 of these are unique. I don't know why they did that instead of flipping in-game. There's also a pan animation. This is shown in the game's pause menu. In Dialogue Help, there are images for the game's help page. In Dialogue Win-Lose, there's a small image for a cross. Where is this used? I'm not sure, so let's move on. There's also a GameHouse logo and this GUI bar for all of the options in the title screen. In hints, there are some arrows here likely rendered for the game's hints. At in-game backgrounds, you can see base images for all 5 restaurants. They look surprisingly empty. That's because everything else has to be highlighted individually. And also, Emily might go behind them sometimes. In effects, there are animations for 2 butterflies. Oh wait, I spoke too soon. They're really the same, just flipped. Why didn't they flip these in-game? I really don't understand. They could have made a different colored one instead. Also, there are music notes and sparkle animations of different image sizes. Now to events, and here's some images for various story events in the game, such as pearls from this necklace being scattered. Also, some of these images are general. However, many of these seem to be from Betty's Drive-Thru, the first restaurant in the game. Speaking of that place, there's also Rest 0 through 4 folders, and these hold specific images for each restaurant. There aren't many here for Betty's Drive-Thru. However, there are images for a table that breaks one day, and also a nicer, upgrade version of that table. There's also an image for a pile of packages that iterates as it accumulates to 8. I could show all of these other things. However, let's move on. In MISC, you can see a compound folder, and in that, you can see a rounded box image for what customers want. There's also a plus sign for when you combine 2 ingredients to make a recipe, or should I say a compound. In hidden objects, you can see some images for every Easter egg you can find. In Order Balloon, you can see some images that probably make up the order loading icon. In Other, you can see a coin animation, money icons, thunder animation for angry customers, a mouse hole image folder, and other miscellaneous things. In Timer, there are images for timers on various machines throughout the game. In Worker Tray, there are images for the end of Emily's food tray. Once again though, unless they couldn't, there really isn't a reason for 2 of the same images, just one flipped horizontally, as well as an image for the middle. To vary its length, this can be tiled in the middle, instead of stretching, which would completely mess up these edges. There's also an animated cross-drawing for when you click a food item, removing it from the tray. In Objects Global, there are images for objects used in all the restaurants, like for instance, the cash register and the phone. In Restaurant 0 through 4, there are some images for appliances, decor, and tables. In People, there's animations and images for all the characters. In Products, you guessed it, there are images for all the food products. And there are a lot of them, as this game is simply rich in story depth. These 3 folders are the longest part of this to cover. So now, let's look inside Interstitial. In this folder, we can see some background images for the level select, as well as 3 of these again, and calendar images. All of these ones are slightly different, as this calendar does sort of emulate perspective. Ironic, right? Also, in Restaurant Select, you can see images for all of these states for switching restaurants. In Pan Scene, you can see some images for restaurant progression interlude scenes. In Scene Editor, you can see some images that look to be used by only the game's designers. In Scene Game, there are some images for this time of day clock. There's also a curtain and other parts of this HUD bar. There's also these images for the game's pause menu. In Scene Load, you can see some images for almost all of the game's title screen. In Scene Selection, there are some images for the selection in the title screen, slightly extending into the cutscene and particles in the intro. In Scene Shop, there are images for 5 shop pages, and these have different environments for obvious reasons. In Scene Trophy, you can see some images for all of the game's achievements. In Splash, there's one image for the intro screen. Again, one file in a folder. Possible, but no different than having that file in its parent folder. In Trial, there are some images for the trial version of the game. However, this game is not a trial, so why would they include it in this build? Anyways, finally out of the images folder, and now into music. This won't take nearly as long. First, there are OGG files. These files are this game's music tracks. Also, there are versions of each one with strips in the titles. These are used in the level select, depending on which restaurant is selected. These tracks are more subtle versions, and this effect is most noticeable in this TV studio. So firstly, let's open the version with strips in the title. Now, let's compare that with this main file, which also is used in the title screen. Also, there's more XML files and properties, 2 script folders, and finally, a bunch of sound effects here. So now, finally, let's go back to fireworks. Not all of the images here are rendered in this video. Maybe it varies for what you've done in the game, so maybe not as much potential as I thought. Well, we did see a missing image. So let's go to characters and then remove the right-facing sprite sheet of Emily. Oh, so there's no left image here. So Emily is flipped here in-game, and other images are not. That's very ironic. Anyways, I've removed this right image. So now, let's start the game. Firstly, let's start the first level of TV Studio. In this cutscene, Emily tries to walk left. However, the game crashes. The missing image may only be used by the game's designers. After all, it was in a folder called Dev. Anyways, I haven't actually gotten to much modding yet. However, this is getting long, and also, we do have 2 more of these games. So if this doesn't work right on Mojave, I could still modify another one, focusing more on other things. Also, seeing how the images work was interesting, right? For now, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, feel free to like it, share it with family and friends, and sub to my channel for more content. If you want to get notifications on new uploads, click on the bell icon after subscribing. I try to post new videos on Saturdays or Sundays. Also, you can check out my channel. To do that, click on my icon or channel name just below the video. For any questions or requests you have, please let me know below in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.